Benjamin Banneker, America's OG nerd, 1731 to 1806. My man was inarguably one of the smartest men of the day. Formal education stopped at second grade, but the dude just loved math. He would do math for fun because he was a nerd. He became one of America's foremost astronomers of the day. That's not astrology, even though he was a total Scorpio. He was so good at it, he was the first American to accurately predict an eclipse. One time Banneker asked this dude, he's like, yo, let me hold on to your watch. And he's like, what do you want it for? He's like, dude, I just want to hold on to your wristwatch. He took it home and he copied all the parts and made the first working clock in the United States, and he made it completely out of wood, which is impressive from an engineering standpoint, but just as impressive as a carpentry standpoint. He studied the location of the moon and could accurately predict the tides. He used the height of the tides to revolutionize farming of the day. Urkel's not really fair because he was a lot cooler than that, so we're going to go with Stefan. But Banneker used to write letters to Thomas Jefferson. He's like, yo, dude, Bill of Rights was pretty cute, but it doesn't really make any sense if you got slaves, man. How can all men be created equal? And Jefferson's like, yeah, I can't totally disagree with you, but I just like having slaves. And when it comes to this subject, I'm kind of a hypocritical piece of shit. And then Banneker took the response letter and he posted it publicly, which is the first recorded history of a black man writing the U.S. government and telling them how stupid they were when it comes to how they treat black people. He's the great-great-granddaddy of American civil rights movement. He also used to kick it with the Quakers, because Benjamin Banneker used to put out this almanac which had all kinds of tips on farming, where the stars are going to be, all kinds of nerd stuff for other nerds. The Quakers are really into it, and the Quakers weren't always just oatmeal making motherfuckers. They used to be pretty hip to the black man's cause, really, at least as far as the 1700s were concerned. But the Quakers later came on to start the abolitionist movement. They said largely that's because of their influence of Benjamin Banneker. When they went to lay out the city of DC, they needed a good surveyor, and one of these Quakers were like, yo, dude, I know this guy named Benjamin Banneker that can do it. And the other guy's like, dude, a black dude? And he's like, yeah, he's really good. And he's like, cool, we can do it, and we'll give a white man all the credit. Banneker's like, what? And he's like, your clock's really cool. There's a story about this Frenchman named Lafont that came over and designed the city of DC, put it on a grid, but he got so angry with the DC government that he packed up all his stuff and left. But since Banneker had been working with him so much doing the layout, he just used his photographic nerd brain and recreated the city from memory. Even today in the city of Washington, D.C., there's a big old Lafont Plaza and a tiny little Banneker Plaza. Anyway, Banneker was a man of the day that was kind of surrounded by myth and legend, so I only really wanted to touch on the stuff that was provable. But the reason a lot less is provable is because the day he died, someone set fire to his workshop. And investigators at the time put together about as much energy as you think they would to figure out who burned down a black man's workshop, but the general consensus is you can't have a bunch of works of a genius black man on the slave economy. It sort of messes up the whole racial superiority game if you have a black dude that's smarter than everybody. But that part's just a conspiracy, which you can choose to believe or not believe why his shop would burn down the same day he died. But what you can't argue with is that dude was one smart motherfucker. Benjamin Banneker, America's OG nerd.